Chapter 11. Verity. It was a risk and there was no guarantee it would help or buy them any more time, but she had to do something. Verity and Leo had run through a labyrinth of rough stone corridors, each looking just as the one before. Occasionally they had seen flashes of light, and it was these that they tried to follow. Verity kept stealing glances behind her, terrified of seeing the bulk of Ernesto behind them, and so it was that they fled. Run, turn, check, run again. After one turn, the light became constant, a pinprick of white in an otherwise impenetrable ocean of darkness. It was getting bigger, it was getting closer. Someone was approaching. Fast. Ernesto or Ethan? Verity pushed Leo into a roughly chiselled doorway and out of sight, and gestured silently for him to remain hidden. Meanwhile, she ventured up to near a fallen hunk of masonry, a chunk of the ceiling that had fallen away and now lay in the middle of the passageway. There, she concealed herself in an alcove of her own. Verity had never been one for thrill-seeking. She much preferred a museum to a theme park. A theme park might give someone a few short-term thrills, but what could they do with that? No, she preferred adding something to her life, and so spent her time looking at as many placards and artifacts in a museum as she could. That's why she was here in Guatemala, to enrich her life and learn more things. Ethan, on the other hand, she often reflected, was very much an in the here and now sort of person. He loved his sports, his thrills, his theme parks. He would be down the park with his friends having his kind of fun, whilst Verity had her head in her books, having her kind of fun. Okay, so he had more friends than she did. Well, so what? Life wasn't just about having as many friends as possible and being liked by other people. Or was it? Sometimes Verity wondered about life. What was its purpose? Did it have a purpose? All these people who lived in all these countries believing all of these different things, did they all have the same purpose? How about these Maya? Did they have a meaning to their existence? Did they get it right? Was it even a right or a wrong? Was this question even the right sort of question? As to the Maya, was all of this that was left over, all of these pyramids and evidence of human sacrifice, was it all in vain? Of course, this was not what she thought about when she was hiding in an alcove waiting to trip up a dangerous man chasing them for some unknown reason, but what she thought about when she was lying on her camp bed in her tent at night. She was a thinker, all right, but now her thoughts were being clouded by the hammering of her heart and the pumping of adrenaline around her body. She shook herself out of her stupor in time to pick out not one but two beams of light cutting through the darkness. It was not a case of Ernesto or Ethan, but both at once. A blur shot past her. In the ever-growing beam of a torch, she clearly recognized the panicked prey as her brother. She opened her mouth to shout out his name and reached out her hands to pull him to her, to keep him safe. But much to her dismay, her brother fell head over heels and into the dirt. His torch spun away from him, suddenly strobing the tunnel, first illuminating Ethan's horrified, pain-filled face, then spinning to temporarily blind her from the scene playing out in slow motion before her. A loud thunk echoed around the stone walls, and the light died. Ethan, lying mouth agape, terrified, was illuminated by the oncoming torchlight of Ernesto. The hulking man pounded his way forward at pace, as if readying to launch himself onto the boy ahead of him. In his speed and greed in catching his prey, Ernesto didn't notice Verity concealed in the darkness of her alcove. She stuck out her leg as he ran past, caught his heel, and sent him sprawling. Thud! The sound of a solid impact, mixed with a shudder-inducing wet splash, rippled through the corridor. Ernesto's head made contact with the rock over which Ethan had tripped. Silence. Ernesto's torch had crashed against the wall, pointing back towards the man's head. Verity could see blood trickle down his scalp to drip off his nose. His trademark hat had flown off and lay bent at his side. In the dim light, Ethan looked over at Verity. V. Oh, Ethan, Oh, what have we done? What you had to, sis. What we had to.